All right, hello everyone. We are back after break, and where we had left off, Bright had sent an arcane eye throughout the pardon me, throughout the streets of a stormy pre-dawn Mask of Horns. Saw that things weren't as crowded as this, but I don't have an image for every single phase of the day of this city. But did see that there was life is normal here. There are couple people walking the streets, citizenry, bakers firing up their ovens, night patrols doing just that on the inside, and on the exterior where the rest of the party was waiting for our dear gnomish warg to roll her eyes back forward the way that they're supposed to be. There's a couple guards standing outside the gate that look to be checking people's business, talking to them. It does look like they're going through some saddlebags. They're not doing it intensely, like they're not spilling everything out and kicking it around or being savages about it. This would be par for the course, especially at night, and doubly especially since there's not a lot of travelers that are coming through. They have some time, and it's also just boring and rainy. So there is apparently what is going to be a normal kind of checkpoint to pass. Probably state your business. What do you have? And one of the answers to that is going to be probably regarding the corpse, unless you do something to ditch it or hide it. Which, there is a ditch nearby. You can just throw her in the ditch if you want. No? Okay.
Absolutely not.
I'm painting the world for you. It's your decision. So yeah, it's... this is, in Bright's reckoning, the city is not occupied nor destroyed. It is a city getting ready to wake up for a day.
And when the guard asks us what's going on,
that has not yet occurred. I'm having you all stop before you approach, and you all can like, I don't know, adjust your things, kind of play it off cool and casual, while Bright is scouting the city with her arcane eye. But I haven't had you interact with the guards on the way in just yet.
So if there's time, if it's close enough, I'd also like to send the eye over to the Selene's temple.
Okay.
If it's within a mile, then I could do that. Otherwise, I won't have time.
The ossuary, I'll say yes. To get a close look at the tower, the burning tower, I'll say no. I mean, you can get close enough that you're seeing more. It's brighter, and from what you can tell from between some of the buildings, it seems as if maybe a wall has been built around it. But that's about the best you can glean with the distance restrictions that you have. Though you can look at the ossuary, and the ossuary is repaired, and it looks like it's open for its normal services. There's no signs like closed for whatever, or directing people, or there's not others on the steps that are either like getting people in the sanctuary or guiding them elsewhere. It's sleepy. It's a sleepy ossuary as well.
Well, if we want to, I think they'd probably just let us in. But if you don't want to take the risk, I can cast a fly and we can all just fly in. Around behind, where we're not at a gate, and just, zoop.
I don't necessarily see the sense in being sneaky about it. We're not hiding anything.
Well, most of us aren't.
Well,
I'm a human child.
Yes, and Bright is a human child right now.
I look a little bit like Jade, but just a little.
That's mean.
Well, I have to pass for somebody's kid, and Stillwaters is the only human.
You know,
Still waters.
mommy? Question mark.
Maybe she's my aunt, or my second cousin. I might be more comfortable as my second cousin.
Well, you better come up with your story before going into the city, then, I guess.
I'll leave it up to you. I'll take my cues. I'm a very well-behaved child. I very rarely speak unless I'm spoken to.
And I am an absolutely atrocious liar.
Bright,
I'm a better liar than you.
does this mean that you are going to ride in front of Stillwaters and that Selene is going to be moved onto Mordecai or Casimir's horse?
Oh, I guess I'll go with
Or not
Mordecai.
horse, you don't have that, but...
I'll just go with Mordecai.
Okay. Oh, no, I had to backtrack because you don't have the horses, so never mind. Oh, no, unless you no one conjured one.
No.
Sorry. Okay, never
Just
mind.
me and horses.
So,
We are on foot.
Just walking.
then I guess the important question is, who's carrying Selene?
But we'll let Stillwaters.
Okay.
She
I
seems
could potentially carry her.
comfortable
We could
with-
as well.
I can't do it.
Hmm?
Somebody else can.
I'll carry her. It's fine.
Okay. If she doesn't have all her things, Mordecai, even though strength is not your strength, if you're just carrying her, that's fine. All right, so the 5 of you approach, and the cart and a couple people ahead of you are cleared through. And all right, come up. And you are asked to state who you are and what's your business in Mask of Horns so early in the morning.
My name is Mordecai Silverleaf, and we're here to bury one of the members of the Church of Wee-Jas at the ossuary.
Ah, that's what he or she is, and is pointing.
Her name is Selene.
Well, we understand, though, if you don't mind, can you go get a cart? And they're going to ask for, like, a hand cart. Yeah, not a horse-drawn cart, but, like, a hand cart to be drawn up and ask you to lay her down so that they can check, as there have been people trying to smuggle goods in and out of the city lately, and they just need to make sure that there's nothing untowards that is wrapped in there. However, that they're going to treat her with, if she's as you claim, then it will be with respect.
Please.
All right. So one of them is going to start unwrapping and examining to make sure that there's, y'all haven't snuck anything into the sheets with Selene, and the rest of you are going to say what to the other guard in regards to who you are, what you're doing. Are you all of relations to the deceased?
Until prompted, the best thing that Stillwaters can do, along not only for themselves but for Bright, is to keep their mouths shut. Don't draw attention and hope for the best.
Are you wearing your armor, or are you just sort of in a riding robe and your armor is sort of in a backpack or something?
I am simply in my civvies, which seems to have changed along with the armor. So, well, at least I have one set of clothes that fit, though I very much doubt the others do.
Okay. And you, little ma'am, you're up quite late. Who are you with?
Oh, I'm with Stillwaters. I don't say anything.
Oh. Well. You must have had a long, hard ride. It's been raining constantly, and it doesn't look like it's going to be letting up. Where are you all staying?
We haven't decided yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, you should be able to find space. If you need some recommendations, then we can let you know, but especially, if not for the deceased, then at least for this little girl. Poor thing. Looks like a drowned rat. And I say that, man, with all due respect. I had a pet rat as a kid. Adorable. Loved him.
Of course.
The same guard.
And you, sir, with the scar on your face. Well, that's pretty nasty. How'd you come across that?
Aslandian Sandog.
Aslandia? What were you doing up there? Was this
Oh, it was
recent?
oh no, that was well, this happened 83 years ago. I was quite young.
Kinda... It is not reaching out to move your hood, but is definitely trying to get a look.
I'm not wearing a hood. I'm just.
Okay. Then he's just kind of.
Here. Better look.
No, yeah. Oh, kind of. Yep.
Almost took my eye. Didn't.
No, you got the
Good
ears.
effect.
Oh, that's quite a story. And you're here with them. How do you know the deceased? And the one examining says, looks like she's from Aslandia. And the other one kind of looks over, and oh, yep, I can see it in the cheekbones. Well, at least part of her was. You related?
No, we were just traveling companions.
Oh. Well, my condolences for your losses. Anything else that you need to let us know about the condition of the roads outside the city? Or that if any of you need help, this is the time to say, like, he's saying it in an obvious way that if one of you were to, like, help, I've been kidnapped, kind of a thing that they would spring into action and save you if you're being smuggled or whatever. Or you can also make a declaration for what you've seen on the way here that they might need to be aware of.
Well, given that we haven't traveled these roads in quite some time, I believe outside of seeing a few ships, not much ships on the water, not much to report.
On the water, no. No, I can't imagine you've seen any there.
I can assure you we have. We've seen their running lights.
Oh, those. Well, they didn't stop here.
Strange.
Other than that, if you go the coastline, because of the rain, it's very sick. You need to be very to ride there. I'd recommend finer roads.
All right.
Give it like 2 or 3 days to dry up. It'll be good.
All right then, noted. Anything else? I guess there's you saw some Shadowheart ships cruising past. And
We couldn't make out their colors.
it could only be them. I don't think anyone would be foolish enough to try and take one of their ships. That'd be a suicide run. All right. Well, you can take the handcart, take it to the ossuary, and we'll make sure that one of our officers comes by and picks it up. But no sense in you needing to carry it yourself.
Her. Not it.
Sorry. There's a professional pitfall when you are involved in stuff like this. My apologies, sir. And he's kind of looking at the other guy like, back me up, or like, hell, and he's like, yep, move along. I'll come by and get the cart. And you have a hand cart that you can place Selene and some of the other effects. They did make side commentary, like, you know, she does have vestments and appropriate things to at least back up your story. So, seem pretty understanding, and they let you in, pulling a hand cart behind you, and there you go. You are inside Mask of Horns.
I'm just pulling the cart.
Okay. Fortunately, wheels make even an 8 strength put in some work. So, where are all of you going to the same place together? Do you all want to split up? What would you like to do here?
Still waters.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I assume stay together.
Preferably.
Okay.
Let's not split up.
Yeah.
Stay together.
Okay.
Well, I guess the pity is by this point, Miss Crumb may have already moved on.
Miss Crumb?
The woman we ended up near pulling out from the shipwreck.
Oh, yeah. Seems like
At
so
the-
long ago.
To us, to her, it would have been longer. She would have probably moved on.
I think we left a lot of unfinished business behind here. We'll see how it turns out.
Well, we'll get our answers first thing in the morning. Here, let me help you with the cart.
Okay. You pull the cart through the town streets, and sound of running water through gutters and trickling over slate roof tiles. There are some, by this point, some smells of some nice freshly baked bread, and some other wonderful things that all of you except Mordecai can probably savor. You can appreciate the smell, Mordecai, but unfortunately it's probably a little bit more of a, a twist
I
and
miss
dagger. Yeah. And just other sounds of mourning in a city. You know, you got to make sure you avoid in the residential area. A couple people will call out 3 times before they let their night soil loose, and with the rain, fortunately, it'll sluice away in the gutters pretty easily. But yeah, you navigate through. Streets are getting a little bit more filled, and you find yourselves, after not too long, at the ossuary. It is rainy. There are lights that are on. This is an interior shot, obviously. Again, I don't have interior, exterior for everything, but here you are. And there is a member of the faith who does come out to address you all and ask why it is you're here, though that is more out of formality because you can see that her eyes do dart from you all, and at least professionally addressed you all first, to the cart, and, I guess it'd be back to you, Mordecai, and Stillwater, since you were kind of both, like, tugging this, or like, pushing, like, a kind of like a rickshaw thing. You can get behind a bar and pull this hand cart with you. You're here for funeral arrangements?
Yes.
Are you coming from one of the local hospitals? Or what is the nature of the service?
I don't even know. I don't follow this faith.
Oh,
He's one of yours.
was this a vagrant? Oh, one of ours.
Her name is Selene. I don't know, maybe some of you knew her.
I don't, though. If it is one of our faith, would you mind if I looked?
That's fine.
And she comes down the rest of the steps, very ceremonially, unfolds and opens up the shroud, and looks, takes a look at the other gear. Then even better, I mean, you all wrapped her, and you were doing a respectful job, though she does a very proper ceremonial like wrap and tuck and make sure that things are more fitted and such. If you can take her around to the morgue, I'll make sure that you can get in. Unfortunately, we've had some carts from the hospital come by with some sick or elderly that have passed on that we must tend to as well, though if she is a member of the faith, then I'm sure that she would get a certain priority, or at least get more personalized services. And you'll be guided, kind of go around the back, there's a door, someone will pick you up there, kind of a thing. And she will rush back up the steps into the front, assuring you that she is going to let someone else know that would be able to confirm and handle this.
And I just stay with her.
Okay. You all go around to the back, and there is a covered area so that you don't have to stand in the rain. You are still outside, and it's no longer spring, but at least the rain has been nice and cool. And you can see that it's for the bodies that have been brought, that these are hospital staff that have come. And as you are waiting a short while, it does seem as if some family members for one of the deceased arrives and is beginning a mourning process as well, seeing the shroud of their loved one that has been carried from the hospital. Members of the faith come out and begin to address the orderlies from the hospital, or in the case of the one where there's at least friends or family that is there to speak for the dead. They are going through kind of a checklist of things. Though someone with a little bit more ornamentation to their robes comes out and asks to see the body. You inform it's Selene. And yes, I would ask that you come with me then. There might be a little bit further conversation than what this shelter can provide in terms of some privacy and policy and how we're going to go about this. As well,
Of course.
We would like to understand more about how you had come across her and the conditions of her death. Please follow me, and you'll be taken in. And as you do, there is someone there waiting that asks if you would like to receive a blessing to not be so soaked.
Sure.
Okay. With a couple hand signs and some prayers, your clothes dry, your warmth returns to your bodies, and even your socks are nice and dry and warm too. And there is it's not the full effects of something like what's certainly not a greater restoration, but at least some of the travel pains. Some of your saddle sores, or just honestly like sore thighs from holding onto a horse with just your legs for a while. Well, for everyone, I guess, except Mordecai, is relieved. You get kind of a magical aspirin to help with that. And you're taken further inside. You are asked to wait in a side room, and one of the clerics here is going to ask to take Selene further into the morgue itself.
I'm not leaving her.
We will need to take her there for initial examination, though if you...
I don't care. I'm going with her.
Sir, this is a kindly request. We need to go through certain rituals that are sacred to us. I don't believe...
I am her husband. Let me through.
Oh. There is a look of an initial look of surprise that is very quickly and professionally going back to a professional demeanor. And they look at each other. If you are her husband, we will ask the celebrant who will be examining her. You can at least come with us initially, and we'll go from there, though I would ask that the rest of you, even if you are of relations to her, that you'll need to stay here until further notice. We will include you with as much as we can, though I hope you understand there are just certain things that we must do.
Of course.
All right. Mordecai and Selene's remains are taken off, and the three of you are in a beautifully and somberly decorated room. There are scenes of life, but they always seem to have just that reminder. You know, it's a scene of children having a picnic under the sun. Though, if you look close enough, almost like it's like at like 20% opacity, in our modern digital art terms, you can like see the skeletons of the children. There are, there's a beautiful landscape that is painted. It has a sun that is setting or rising, I guess, depending on your attitude. Though you do see that there is a graveyard that is prominent in one of the corners. It's in a beautiful, restful place. The sun is out. It looks like a nice day otherwise, though there's still the reminder. And you also do see among the art that there are many skulls that are adorning the place, and almost looking like they're looking down at each of you. Their jaws have been removed, and but they are arranged in, well, I don't know your character's artistic aesthetics. They are arranged at least in a decorative fashion, similar to what you're seeing here. Intricate designs. There are some other bones as well that are filling in shapes and sizes, though the majority of what you see are skulls.
I guess the obvious question then is, will they be placing Selene's remains in a place of prominence?
I think they will. I think that the skulls that they put on the walls and on the ceiling, those are their honored, the members of their temple, and I think she'll find her way up there.
Do you believe Mr. Silverleaf is ready to actually observe such a process?
Oh. No, I don't think he's ready to let her go. And when they put someone up there, it's kind of does both things. I mean, you have to be ready to let them go, but at the same time, they'll be there for, well, not forever, of course, but for a very long time. And they'll just always be there. And if you haven't let them go yet, you never will be able to once they're up there. And I'm just worried for him. I don't think he's ready.
No, I suppose not. How are you doing, Bright?
Okay. I think I'm... Well, first, thanks for worrying about that. But also, I guess I'm focused more on Mordecai, because he's the one that... I mean, Selene doesn't need us anymore. I think for someone like her, death isn't It isn't scary for her, and I think that's why she was the way she was, because death was just a thing that she was going to do, and she had that confidence about it. But for Mordecai, I mean, he's stuck. He's stuck in the process, and he can't go on and he can't go back. And seeing this happen to her, well, she's kind of gone past him. You know, she was alive, and she's gone past that moment, and now she's gone, and he's still stuck. It's got to be hard for him.
I can understand that. And he's stuck. He always has been. But for you, I'm more concerned.
There's a lot to be concerned about, but not because of this.
Perhaps exactly because of this. Mordecai, you've been traveling with Selene for quite some time, if I understand this correctly.
I was with her the longest.
Mordecai is at least able to express grief. But earlier on, I guess I've never seen you quite that perturbed.
I was pretty upset.
I imagine you still are.
Well, it's been... Hey, no. We've had a... Well, I would say a night's sleep. We've had an afternoon sleep. And time to ride and think.
Well, there's a lot to end up unpacking right now. But my concern lies with you, because I have no idea on how a gnome expresses grief and goes through the grieving process. I've at least dealt with enough tieflings to have some understanding of what I'm dealing with. Me and Mr. Ashura both have had plenty of time to deal with it, and we have not known her long enough, not comparatively.
So you really don't have Jade's memories, do you? Have her look. No memories at all.
Shaking their head.
Okay.
I'm as confused as you. At this point, it's a matter that can be put aside for the time being. It's not the focus. It is not something I presume will change. It would have changed by the time we left if that was the case, much as Mr. Silverleaf's condition. It didn't. And I'm like this because of Selene. That is... well...
Just one more reason for me to be mad at her, I guess.
why?
You didn't ask for this. You just wanted to go back to who you were, and now you can't.
I never said that.
Well, I guess you didn't.
Would you be able to indulge me a moment, Bright? When me and Jade were both growing up, I always tried to end up being the big brother. And the big brother is always keeping a stiff upper lip and looking after everybody who's smaller than them.
Very good at that.
Clearly not, or she'd still be alive. But Fact of the matter is that when we were growing up, I never had the luxury of playing. I had to train. While she was getting into trouble with local hoods, I would be on duty when I first started. I just joined the military at that point. And I cannot tell you on how many times I had to pull her out of situations. And the weird part about it is as much as I could be angry at her, I don't think I ever had the time. It was being angry was a luxury. I had to simply move on to the next thing, and right now this is unusual, and I'm pretty sure it hasn't really sunk in as to what has happened. I think that same idea is still going through. Much like yourself, distracting just to keep moving. It means you don't have to settle. You don't need to look yourself in the mirror. Though for me, I guess I'll never be doing that again.
Well, you have an easier time of it than Mordecai.
I suppose so.
So,
And
we have our own ways. A gnomish funeral is. I mean, some of it depends because it's different with the rock gnomes, of course. But for us, a funeral, you. So here's the thing: gnomes live a really long time. At least compared to humans, not compared to elves. They live even longer. And so we don't really have funerals all that often. Not really, because we don't have that many children compared to how long we live. So a funeral is actually kind of a big deal. And because we have time to make so many friends over our lifetime, usually there's a lot of people there. And for a lot of people, especially if a gnome has made a lot of friends that aren't other gnomes, for a lot of people it's the only time they ever get to come to a gnomish village. And it's just a really I mean, it's not festive because everyone's really sad, but it's such a big gathering compared to how many gnomes are normally in a village that everybody's more focused on the event. And then when it's time for the actual ceremony, it's not super gloomy, probably not compared to humans. We have, I mean, we do a lot of the same rituals. People get up and they say what their memories are and what the person meant to them. But a lot of it, people just kind of mill around and they tell each other stories about the person who's gone, and sometimes just stories that they think of. And that's really what it's all about. It's all about us telling each other stories. And that's how, I think for humans, because they don't live as long, it's important for them to try to find ways for them to think that the person is still living on. And for gnomes, it's not like that because they've lived so long as it is, and you just don't know. It's almost like the changing of the almost like the changing of geography. A new city might rise and fall, or a whole empire in the lifespan of a gnome. So we don't feel the need to try to convince each other that we're living on somehow. We just like to celebrate and have our memories.
I don't think I could fathom living that long. But it seems I'm the shortest lived party member in this group.
I mean, depending on how you look at it.
I will take the scene from our thoughtful conversation here. And Casimir, I guess you're in contention for being eldest, although I think Bright still is older than you.
It's 112. I think Casimir's a little older.
Oh.
I'm 135.
Oh, all right. No, what's 20 years? It's like 10% of your life. Mordecai, you are taken back, and Selene is laid out on a table. She is unwrapped and she is undressed. Everything that is happening is being done so with. You may not know the reason why they're doing it, but everything seems to at least be ritualized and done with a certain care. I mean, growing up where you did, you at least got some passive exposure to the methodologies of this faith. I mean, it's your community. You know, you may even know you may not say the prayers, but you may know the responses all the same if you hear the prompts. And so they're taking due care with her. As they're doing this, they're examining her body. They seem to be taking notes on the condition of it, performing a basic autopsy. They're not opening her, but they are certainly noting traits and other things that are recording as she's been brought in. While they are doing this, do you have any questions for them, or are you sitting back and letting them work on her?
Is it possible that I can bury something with her?
If you wish for a burial, then you could ask for some of her effects to be either buried or immolated, though she herself is not going to be buried. No, she will be installed here in the ossuary.
That's the normal thing, right? For a person of faith?
Yes. It is something that happens to those who are have investiture in the faith, and as well for those who are of the lay folk but are particularly pious or who have done great deeds. That they can be put on display as an example to others. And depending on what is found of her and her service, she may even keep her jaw. Such that she can help teach others the things that she knew in life.
I mean, she preferred this place. I grew up in Oldport. I'm not even.
Well, she certainly won't be going back to Oldport. Not after the port has been occupied as it has. We can discuss that, though she must be questioned first.
Okay.
There is a particular ritual that we will be conducting on her, and she will be answering questions that we are going to ask of her. You say that you are married to her.
What's gonna be?
Well, I suppose it's good to be upfront about that before we were to find out in the middle of our discussion with her remains. That said, it is going to take at least 3 days to do what we must with her body and her remains to get her ready to be installed in the ossuary, or at least for transport elsewhere to a place where her remains will deem is appropriate. If you wish, we only need her skull. If there are other bones that you would wish to claim, you may petition the ossuary here for them, and the reason for that. However, anything else is going to be consumed in the process of processing Selene, our departed sister.
I don't have any requests for them except no, I have a request. I want her ashes.
Very well. We can provide the incinerated remains of Selene after we have used what she would want us to use as an example. As a, well, I don't mean this in an upsetting fashion, but as a living example of the faith and what it is and what it does to bring comfort to others and guidance as well. There's great knowledge contained within those that you see adorning this place. Though, it sounds as if this is redundant to you.
It's weird. But she is a follower of Wee-Jas, and I will respect what wishes she may have wanted, because she didn't get the chance to really tell me. So, I guess you would know best how to honor her.
We know the questions to ask to find the appropriate way to go about that. The dead do have words to speak, and we are going to be honoring the dead, though they have passed along. Not I. We are going to need some time, though, in order to process her body and to prepare it for the ritual.
Can't speak with her now.
It is not a matter of ability, but a matter of consideration for our methods. As well, we have found that for those who have brought in loved ones through familial or through a marriage bond, having them speak in this state, and you see, her body is waterlogged, and and she still has ruined tissues and such. It is very difficult. We will make sure that her bones, or at least her skull, if that is what you wish to bear, is cleaned and polished, and will be made comfortable for the ritual.
Sure.
Her flesh will incinerate, and if it is her wish, we'll hand to you.
Okay.
Then, if there's nothing else, I can only pray that you believe she's in good hands. And if you tell us where you're staying, then we can send word of our progress.
I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave.
There is a point where you must. And not just for dogmatic practice. This is something that we work with every day of our lives until our lives too will end. Until we are in a similar position. But you are going to need closure, sir. You're going to need to process being away from her. She is not going anywhere. I promise you. She will be here. And after she has been readied, you will be invited for the communication. Use this time to reflect, pray, or whatever your culture needs to do. There are many that we are blessed to have here in Mesotopia, And I even hear that the gnomes have a very interesting mourning process.
Yeah.
We can offer you grief counseling as well if you would like to stop by and speak with someone else about the process. It is, well,
I think I'm just gonna go pray.
you are welcome to do so. We have many private alcoves. If you wish privacy, or if you wish to mourn with others, well, there is plenty of space.
Yeah. Sure.
Very well. We'll escort you out. And, you leave Selene behind in this side chamber and are escorted back to where the others are as they are having a conversation. Casimir, have you been kind of like off on your own? Have you been sitting quietly? Are you kind of staring at the art, or what is your engagement here?
I've just conversation.
Oh, you cut out there. You slept?
I know I've been standing, just being present. Not
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So after a while, I mean, still waters and bright. You're having this conversation, Casimir. I mean, you may not be like listening in, but maybe you pick up things here and there. And eventually, Mordecai is brought to you by an officiant, and is in a state. And you are told that if there's anything you need, that they can provide you some basic necessities, clothes, water, food, and that you can you'll be able to stay here for a while.
I think I'm gonna go have a prayer or something.
Do you want to do so here?
Yeah. I have some things I need to say to Wee-Jas.
All right. Mordecai is going to go. Do you want to be in like in the open area, or do you want to find a private alcove?
I'll just be out in the open. Just
Okay. There are members of the family that you saw, because time has passed, and so the other bodies have been taken as well to be processed, and so there's a family in there that is also praying. There are some clergy that seem to be standing at attention and could be possibly called over or consulted, but they are respectfully standing by. And so it's really a couple members of a family mourning, and you in an otherwise wide open area, and there are hundreds, thousands of skulls and bones of people who've come before that are adorning this place and look on silently as you're praying. And while you're doing this for the others, Mordecai's indicated where he's going to be. Do you all wish to do anything else? The city at this point in time is in early morning mode. Breakfasts are being served. It still sounds like it's raining. Stillwaters, from your time as an investigator, if you want to know if finding Miss Crumb is important, you can always try and ask the inn when she might have checked out, because they keep logbooks of guests. And, you know, it wouldn't be your first time going to an inn and looking at their registry to try and find someone. So there's that as a possibility. There's the rest of the city, right? I mean, there's the tower that before was beyond your arcane eye, but you can get a closer look if you wish. Casimir, I mean, you're a free agent. You could do what you'd like here, but let me know what you'd like to do.
I will stand by Mordecai.
I
Okay.
just kind of sit in the back.
Okay.
Stillwaters, I know. Remember how I said at a gnomish funeral we like to tell each other stories about someone who's passed on, and I know you weren't able to attend Jade's service, but I want to tell you a story about her in my special way. Will you let me do that?
Of course, right.
Okay.
If whatever would help you.
Remember on the way here, we rode our horses and we got all soaking wet. But you saw something else happen while we were making that trip. What you saw was Jade at the flesh tree. Some of us were mind controlled. Some of us couldn't resist. She's the only one who kept her wits. She was the only one who could act freely. She ran toward the flesh tree to retrieve the crystal that we needed to get. And she dug it up and tossed it away. It was the last thing she ever did. And now you can see it the way I saw it, so you know the kind of person that she became.
Stillwater's watches for a moment. Recalling memories. He wasn't there. Why does he remember it? To see the world through, if not for the briefest moments of time, through Bright's eyes, allows him a moment to see. You can clearly see for him it's difficult. He struggles to maintain that composure. Now, Stillwaters carries that face, the one that was devoured, the one that was gone. The one that tried to be brave. It takes a moment before he recovers a modicum of that stoic sense. Thank you very much, Brian. I'm sorry I didn't get the chance to know her like you did. You're not sure if he means Selene or Jade. He stands up and starts to walk towards the doors. I suppose somebody needs to make arrangements to an inn and acquire proper lodging for the four of us. You best go to see Mordecai.
Look after him. He's got a lot to
Unpack.
deal with right now. Yeah.
With that, Stillwaters goes off to find appropriate lodging. Maybe find out what happened to Miss Crumb. And with the few remaining pieces of coin, maybe purchase something that would be more fitting. She starting a whole new life. Literally a fresh start. So why does it come with so much baggage?
Stillwaters departs. Mordecai and Casimir are in the main hall. Right? This leaves you. What would you like to do?
I'm sure my disguises weren't off, but I can fix that. I want to go and find a magic shop. And also,
Mhm.
so did I see enough in the book to get the spells that I need, or does Mordecai have to let me borrow it again?
Um, it would have been only, well, I don't know. You were able to look at it on and off for several hours. I don't know how long. I forget how long it takes to transcribe spells. So you might need to. I don't know if there's like a first level spell or something. I think you could have easily squeezed in there. More advanced ones, you probably need to take a longer look, or at least
Okay.
in a better environment than what you were in.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and I want to go out into the town. I'm going to go ahead and disguise myself again.
Mm-hmm.
This will be, um, there it is. This will be as, no, I'll just be a little halfling girl. She's
all right.
kind of, I mean, not a girl, obviously, a halfling woman. She's kind
Oh,
of, she's just a little bit portly. She's got kind of short bob hair, and she's actually pretty cute.
okay.
Just except for being a little butterball. But you know, halflings, that's not considered a problem for halflings.
She has a cherub demeanor.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so she's gonna go out and look for she's gonna go out and visit the tower and also look for a magic shop where I can buy some incense.
Okay.
Miss Peggy Sue, she got smushed too.
The incense you'll be able to find easily enough. I mean, a magic store, if it's not open now, it'll be open in this kind of narrative time that we've moved into, and so you can pick some up at the normal rate. The tower, does in fact have a wall that has been built around it. Whoop! I forgot to. Why is that still playing then? I think Roll20 is being a little bit of a derp. I know, right? Well, guess we'll try this. So the rubble has been cleared, and where you see the cylinder that was indicated before, there has been a stone wall built up around the remnants of the tower, so much so that it would even clear the top of. So you can't even see the black ovoid, whatever it is, and it hasn't been fancifully done. It's not like there's a bunch of relief statues or weird gargoyles or things like that. It is a solid. It is just a solid wall. No frills, solid construction. It does have an open top though, because you can absolutely see that the light and even some like heat distortion is rising up from this kind of chimney, if not a wall, that has been built around it. And life has returned to this otherwise kind of a downer area. It was kind of empty warehouses. It wasn't like slums, but it was definitely it had blight and was kind of a hang around area for many. That said, a lot of people who are down on their luck were displaced by this as well. There is a small like police box where there is a constant guard kept, as well as not just by the civilian population. There's some kind of an observation station that has been set up as an extension of the ossuary and does appear to be manned by clerics of the faith of Wee-Jas. There are also a road has been set to make sure that things are traffic is flowing, and you still do see, for this district, while people are moving along, there is still a higher than normal amount of tieflings that seem to be either hanging around or just kind of walking past. It's not as intense as the moth to the flame effect as you were getting before, But I don't know. Maybe a lot of tiefling guards volunteered for duty, or this is somehow. I don't know. Tieflings came by and wanted to, buy some old property and set up a little vending stall. But it just so happens that there is a higher than usual amount in this area than what you'd expect. So yeah, you have a big cylinder that's projecting some heat and light. And even not light. Like occasionally there's kind of like a streak that would be like a fiery streak racing up, but it just seems to be kind of like a streak of darkness, as if there's nothing there. But yeah, it's contained, and no one's running or screaming for their lives. There is signage up, that's indicating pedestrians move along. You will be asked to continue if you don't have business here. Avoid whatever. And the wall does not appear to be tagged by graffiti or blast marks or chisels or anything that would be beyond normal construction.
Well, I could arrange for some blast marks.
You always could. But that is the current state of the tower. It has been put in a wall or has become a chimney. It's still there, and the town has built up or has rebuilt around the explosion.
Okay. So let me double back on the description of the light itself. So there's the walls that go up, and then there's the beam that comes out of the top.
Yes.
And it's a beam of darkness?
No, it is a beam of light, of this kind of orangey red light, though it does have motes or little streaks of darkness. Where in a fire, it might be like a dark smoke or something along those. This is, though, a blackness that occasionally interweaves with this normalish, reddy, orangey light.
Okay. So it's focusing. And this is pretty clearly the beacon we were seeing. Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look up the rain. The rain is, like, evaporating in this column of light. And even as it's hitting the wall towards the top here, and you just see that the gentle breeze that is coming with this fat raindrops is just billowing steam up, and it's floating away. And you hear a constant so it's not actually cooling. It's just always sizzling off water. And as you look up, there sure is the underbelly of the clouds. Looks like a bubbling, roiling, like pool of lava or something, because it's this reddish orange that's projected on a moving, undulating cloud bottom.
Okay. So next up, I'm gonna go ahead and walk over and take a look at the the outpost of the clerics of Wee-Jas and see what they're doing.
They're doing what the police are. They're just watching. They're not like sitting back in a recliner chair and picking their noses, but they're present. They're under a shelter. It looks like this is meant to be a place for people to sit and observe. There are holy symbols that are adorning this place. It is labeled as an extension of the ossuary, as a watching post, but that's about it. There's probably some little gadgets that they have in this outpost that would be like magic detectors and other things that would help them measure arcane presence or detect magic or other things that would be in their circle of expertise instead of the police's crowd control.
Well, that does seem like a reasonable precaution, all things considered. I'm going to go ahead and stay more than 60 feet away from that.
Okay. Probably good, as they have detectors and there's mages and stuff that are manning that post.
I'll if I want to come back here, I'll definitely be prepared with my magic aura. But first, I'll just I think that's enough. I'll just make my way back to the temple.
Okay. While you're doing this, I go ahead and make an investigation at advantage as well. There's a lot to see and take in, and you certainly got the majority of it. But let's see if there's any fun little side notes here.
Investigation at advantage. Okay. Nope.
Oh, all right. So that's a 9. Okay. Yep, the place is pretty well constructed. It actually looks like there might be some improvements that are taking place. I mean, clearly there's not a bunch of rubble or falling down blighted warehouses. The buildings that were in decent shape around it are there, and then, there's still some construction supplies around, though it seems to be dedicated to constructing something and not just, a pile of rubble or people, I don't know, trying to claim some nice, pieces of timber that might have survived the blast to reuse elsewhere. And it does look like there's signs of other buildings, because it's only been a couple months. Though, that said, even with a 9 investigation, this wall must have had magical help in being constructed, because unless everyone got together and worked every day, like this is quite a mundane task to complete in a short amount of time. You may not be a mason by trade, but your magic senses are tingling that some sort of stone manipulation or some sort of conjuration was used in order to, or maybe even transmutation was used in order to facilitate building something like this.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'll just head on back.
Sure.
It's good knowledge.
We are going to cut over then to Stillwaters. And Stillwaters, you are going to return to the inn, well, that you were at least last staying at, when it was still springtime, and chilly with the occasional threat of snow. And go ahead.
Nope. I will make arrangements for the rest of the party, and also start to investigate on what might have happened to Miss Crump.
All right.
And probably along the way, if there are some shops available, pick up some civilian clothes that would be workable for my current condition.
Okay. Clothes shopping will be clothes shopping. That is available. The stores are no longer sort of rationed or forced to be closed. It doesn't seem like there's a state of emergency. That being said, if you inquire for lodging in this place, they're actually booked. When you left, the person was desperate to have people stay there because everyone was fleeing. Now it actually seems like it is a popular place to be. And though upon asking for a particular person, you're going to be asked about your authority to access their private records.
The name's Stillwaters. The room was booked under that name. My name is Stillwaters, and since the room was paid and for the also, pardon, because of their relations, and we were responsible for that booking. I'm now looking into it to see on what has transpired with Miss Crumb. When did she leave, etc., etc. Simply a formality, things that need to be double-checked and booked. I'm pretty sure you remember, if you have, that the individual was quite thorough about every T crossed and every I dotted.
The clerk behind the counter, one moment, ma'am, and no, and goes to walk into a back room here and brings out a manager. In fact, this is the one that solicited you originally. Because the owner was out here trying to hawk rooms to people, like, come and stay. It's great quality, cheap. One of the oldest hotels and the like. And he comes out. You claim to have stayed here months ago. I can check in on that, but Miss Crumb.
I am most certainly familiar with her. How familiar are you with her? Is the better question.
I am quite familiar. She's been quite the guest here.
Would she have something to do with the sudden upturn in business?
Absolutely, yes.
Hmm. Then, would you still be in contact with her regularly?
I can pass along a message, though she is not usually active when I am. Of course, I take
I'm
the sweet spot of the daytime to work here. She's more of a nighttime socialite.
I would believe so. And, well, let her know a Stillwaters is interested in speaking with her, and I'm sure that will get her attention very quickly.
Would you like
Uh,
to make a note? I can give you some official stationery and a ink pen.
I would.
Very well. Here.
And thank you very much. That being said, I would like to also see if Miss Crumb would be capable of getting openings, as right now we have 3 individuals in mourning. The body was just delivered to the ossuary.
I don't know offhand if I can arrange that. The rooms have been paid for, though I believe several are here as they've become quite enamored with Miss Crumb.
I would
She's
believe
made
so.
this place into quite a nest for herself, and there are
In such
guests
a
who
short time.
have been here to interact with her. If she can talk with them and are willing to they're willing to give up their rooms at her request, that's something you could ask after.
Well, I suppose that's when I will meet her tonight, if she is available. I will make certain to be here.
Very well.
May I have some privacy too, right?
Oh yes, of course. I'll be in my office, and if you need anything, my clerk is going to be at the end of the desk here. All you need to do is get his attention or ring the bell.
Now, I am in view. It's very clear I'm the one who's writing this letter,
Yes.
nevertheless. Right? Okay. To hear, Miss Crumb, I see that the months have been here treating you well. I unfortunately cannot end up here saying the same. Outside of confusion and tragedy, odd manners I would like to discuss in private have accosted me and the group I was traveling with. Nevertheless, I am happy to end up seeing that since I pulled you out from the waters, out from that creature in the deep, and managed to end up bringing you to Mask of Horns, that you have managed to make a life for yourself, such as it is, in brackets. It pleases me to know that you have become a grandstanding member of this community. And I am very happy to end up seeing that you have moved on past your condition. When you see me, I will not be as you remember. It is a long story, and one that I am still coming to grips with myself. But I am hoping to be able to end up making your acquaintance once more, so that we may converse. I can do with a friend right now. Sincerely, J. Stillwaters. Lets the ink dry for a moment and then rolls it. Takes out from his pocket his badge, where, funny on how this used to mean a lot, now it would just draw more confusion, but takes a candle from the holster. It's not an official wax seal, but she might get the message. And he puts a small imprint of a portion of his badge onto it. Places it in and walks up to the keeper. see that this is delivered to her the moment that she ends up coming in. I will be coming in tonight in order to see her. I will know her. She may not recognize me, but I'm sure she'll be fond to know.
As you are letting the ink dry, and you're preparing your badge to kind of like roll in the ink and to leave a stamp, the clerk behind the desk was busying, just doing a little busy work, looking around, and as that happened, he is greeting someone who is walking down from the grand staircase in this place. And you hear him say, "Oh, Professor! Oh, good to see you again. I hope you had an excellent night." And the professor's like, "Oh, of course. The research just is never ending. It's fascinating."
Professor.
And the clerk, this young clerk, is having an excellent time talking to a man who appears and sounds quite learned. And who dresses smartly, not ostentatiously, not like a noble or the like, but certainly, as someone who at least has halfway decent clothes, is regarded to as a professor by at least this young staff member, and is while your ink is drying here, starts telling a tale about the history of Mesomasca. And as it might relate to recent events about the city of Oldport being effectively occupied by the Shadowhar and run by them. And so the kid's like, "Wow, that's cool. That's also scary." Not kid as in he's like 10, but he's a young kid. He's a young like teen, like his first job kind of a thing. Probably knew the manager, was family member to get in, and so the professor said, I have to get going. While I'm tired, I need to eat something before I just crash. I'm going to be needing some sleep after an all-nighter. Now, if you'll excuse me, and then he'll walk by, and Stillwaters, as you are, as your badge and everything, you grab your letter and you're ready to walk down the counter to where he is. This gentleman called the professor, tips his hat to you. "Good morning, sir." And I'm not sir. "Good morning, ma'am. Have a wonderful day." And he ends up continuing past. If you want to bump or interact, you can. Otherwise, the clerk is there.
That is odd. Said that they were going to go and grab something to eat, yet most would end up eating in a tavern. Would this professor be particularly pale compared to most of the others?
No, not particularly so. Actually, it kind of looks like he's, as a couple, a little bit of weatheredness to his skin. He's not like super craggy or anything like that, or he doesn't have like a super deep tan. Though, he's been around. He's traveled.
I approach the gentleman. "Good day, sir. I was told that you were a researcher of some sort." I would
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say anything.
I just so happen to be a researcher.
My name is Stillwaters. Pleasure to meet you. And then there's a bit of confusion, like they don't know how to approach, continue on this conversation. There's some kind of odd hesitation. Formalities of some sort.
Sorry, you cut out there a bit, Darryl.
You've been cutting out for me the whole time, so. There's a kind of an awkwardness on the introduction, as though the person's hesitant but not sure on how to approach this or what would be the proper way to address the situation.
Well, let's see if I can figure that out, because Discord is chucking the fit of fits at me. Actually, one moment.
Well, I can see that you might also find yourself at a loss for words, sir. Uh, Pardon, I'm not used to greeting strangers, but I did end up hearing something about Oldport, and you're a bit of a historian, yes?
Ah, yes, Old Fort. Yes, it seems that our, I suppose we should call them neighbors, to the northeast have decided to, take a slice of what they believe to be theirs.
My. So, oh, sorry, Professor, I didn't quite catch your name.
Ah, now that is the thing, isn't it? I go by many names, but the one that everyone knows me by is Professor Cypher. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Stillwaters.
Quite
Stillwaters,
the interest.
yes.
Quite the interesting alias, then. Cypher, that would be a play on what you do, correct?
And a bit of my last name, but yes, you could say that.
So, have you been staying here long, Professor?
Oh, I have been here for a little while. Not an overly long time.
You have to pardon me. I'm still adjusting, as it were. But I would end up enjoying a bit of a chat, especially when it comes down to our neighbors, so to speak. That is of great concern to me.
Of course, I'd be more than happy to offer any information that I may have on the subject. And trust me, I have a lot of information on the subject.
Intriguing.
He really likes telling stories, yells the clerk from the counter. A lot of really good ones too, things that they don't tell you in school.
Yes, I do like to tell a good story.
Well, you said you were going to grab something to eat. Perhaps we could make the day of it. I have some daylight to burn.
Why not? I have very little else to do at the moment, and I think the company would be nice. So why not?
Stillwater's places both feet together, turns to the side like about to go into marching, stops, thinks about what they're about to do, takes a slightly more relaxed stance and extends their arm. Here to Professor Cypher. Shall we then?
We shall, and shall take the arm in his and off to get some food. They shall go. Sorry,
There
shall
is-
have a bit. You drink.
No worries. There is certainly a odd walk, as Stillwater seems to be, well, one foot in front of the other is not so much ladylike so much as marching, but thankfully it's easy to wield when you're literally here, arm in arm.
Well then, it is a beautiful morning for our dear professor. Not only did you have a really fascinating night researching and conducting an interview, but here, while you are rather tired, but nothing, maybe a little bit of tea or some coffee couldn't at least help you power through, you seem to have a breakfast date with
Coffee, the elixir of the gods.
with a rather stern but an earnest woman who just so happened to be in the lobby of the hotel there. So things are looking up for the professor. And then to bring things, I guess, back around, as we have Stillwaters and the professor, the investigator and the professor that are going out for a breakfast date. Bright, you're making your way back to look for someone somewhere. Were you going back to the ossuary, or where were you doing after you're done investigating the area initially?
I was just going back to the ossuary.
Sure.
I mean, I might stop for breakfast somewhere, but yeah, why don't I stop for breakfast? Just at a quick place where I can just get a bite.
Okay.
Then I'll go back to the ossuary. Maybe I'll get a cinnamon roll from. Oh no, I won't. Maybe I'll get a cinnamon roll for Casimir.
Okay. Oh no. All right. Well, I mean, if we're gonna have, if we're going back to one elf in the party, then we got to start plumping up Casimir, and that way we can keep the jokes going. So, that's fine. I'm sure Casimir would love a sweet little cinnamon roll, and then also maybe a dessert to eat. Right.
We could get away with that.
Then for our evening, I don't know how much time you still have, lethality, but I can kind of bring things to a button up for this session. Are you still good for a little bit, or do you need to go?
I'm good for a little bit.
Okay, then we'll bring this back around as the party is kind of split, kind of getting back together. Mordecai, you have been, well, that's really a journey that only you can narrate. I can supply you the venue, and Casimir can supply you with, I don't know, words, camaraderie, just a presence of someone who is not trying to kill you or tear your heart out, or, it's, if this is a time if you want to talk with Casimir, you certainly may. But let's go back to the ossuary. Bring things around to resolve. You've been there praying, or at least being tended to, doing what you need to do for several hours now. It is late morning. What is Mordecai doing, and then by extension, Casimir?
Mordecai, for the most part, sat in the back of the sanctuary of this ossuary, looking around at the images, the skulls, everything, trying to reach out and pray to Wee-Jas and beg her as to an answer as to why Selene had to leave. Getting a little frustrated with himself when he doesn't realize that he's gonna get an answer, start to pace around the building, mostly mulling to himself. At first, fairly sad, obviously. A mixture of sad and angry at some point. Kind of just trying to make sense of everything. And it doesn't make sense. It's never gonna make sense. She was taken. Again. Just like Corinna. Except a sickness is more insidious. Selene was just stolen.
Now, Casimir, you are a man who's hunted across the lands. I mean, you've seen your fair share of life and death. If not in humanoid conflict, then certainly in your travels, you've seen the birth of animals, the death of animals. You've hunted them for food and for parts. Do you have any kind of advice, worldly, or to console Mordecai? He does seem to be questioning, or if you wish to, I mean, you could always remain respectfully silent, but this is an opportunity, Casimir, to talk a little bit more personally with Mordecai, or even offer him kind of some relief that he's looking for from this burden of guilt or not knowing or questions. Would you like to respond to any of these?
I don't feel that my way of my view on life and death is what Mordecai needs to hear, as I believe that all death has meaning and purpose.
Hmm.
Of course, when it comes to the life of people, it gets more complicated. With animals, it's very when you kill something, you use every part. There's a purpose to it. You respect its life and use it. When it is one of people, it is odd. You don't know. You don't originally know why it happened. Sometimes there is a reason, but the reason is not purpose. That. But who knows how the gods think up there in their pretty clouds. Perhaps there was a reason. Perhaps we just decided that Selene was needed more up in the cloud with her. Perhaps she had served a purpose we do not know. But I don't think that I would share that with Mordecai. Not unless he asked directly why would this happen.
Hmm. All right. Um. Then I mean, Mordecai, some of this could very well have just been, if you wanted to utter it out loud, could have been rhetorical or honestly. I mean, you're giving off, you're giving off these sort of vibes that, I mean, Casimir is a hunter, a traveler, is at least picking up over time on. Um, then between the two of you, what will be the scene that we close on for the ossuary for this evening? If we see, kind of the camera is like pointing down from the altar at you all, and it's starting to like come towards you. You have tears and questions, then maybe kind of swoops around, and now we're kind of viewing the two of you sitting at a pew in the back, as it's slowly exiting out the door before turning to go through the streets to find a little cafe where several people might end up meeting up here. Um, you know, does is there does Casimir like, hey, like we're good, bud, an arm around you, or are you distant? I would like you two to paint the scene of what we all see as we are in this moment and we're fading out from the ossuary in this time of questions to then go back out to the city for a time of getting together elsewhere.
Why are you here?
Me? I'm here because whether or not you think so, you need someone near.
I need someone near me.
Hmm?
You think I'm okay? Cool. I'm sorry if I'm gonna sound a little bit crass, but you seemed far more interested in Celine's ass than into me. And even being friends, even.
I mean, I see it differently, but when you only have eyes for one person, it's hard to see where other people are looking.
Yeah. I don't get it. You just met us. Why?
Yes, it's still water. As I recall, we met you on the same day, no?
That's true. So why?
Let's see.
Why not just go off back to wherever it is that you came from, like everybody else does? Everybody leaves.
Because that's not. People don't. You might think they go away, but sometimes they return. Sometimes, sometimes you see their face on another body. Like, your, Jade.
I don't know that I could see her face on another body because Selene looks. That's gonna be something I have to get used to. Look just like her. And I thought that I could get past it because, she's a different person. She's not Corinna. And I fell in love again. What the fuck? Why does each person that I love leave? That's my question. If you can't answer it, if we just can't answer it, if nobody can answer it, then why even bother?
That is a tricky question. I have a much longer lifespan than you. In fact, probably 5 times your age. I've been in love once or twice, maybe more. You see people leave, and it is hard, but eventually you can move on. Of course, you are still young.
When they're taken from you?
Even then. All life and all death have some form of purpose.
There was no purpose to her dying. None.
Probably not that way. You say we just stole her? Then perhaps we just needed her.
She was stolen from people from this ossuary.
And those people were also stolen from this ossuary as we all killed them. As Selene infected them.
So you think this is her fault too? You think all of this is her fault too?
I didn't originally want to kill the fomorians off. And then she got killed by the one she started. I don't blame people. Life is too short to lay blame.
I just want her back. That's all I want.
But when something is dead, usually when something is dead, it does not come back. I've dealt with things that needed to be killed.
She was supposed to help me. And now she's gone.
Then perhaps she was not able to help you. Perhaps her research would have done nothing for you.
What do you know? You don't know her.
No, I don't. I don't know you. But, as I said, life is short. If I ignored everyone on the street, if I ignored everyone who passed by and needed help, perhaps nothing would happen. Perhaps something would happen that I could have helped with. I live a long life, and so I feel the need to do things. Of course, I'm not very fond of crowds, but when there is a small group that I see needs help, perhaps I can.
Just along for the ride, right? That's how it
Unfortunately,
starts.
that is the truth.
That's how it starts. That's how it gets you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I started. I was along for the ride.
So why are you here? If you were just along for the...
I was. And then it turned into something bigger, and I thought I could make a difference. Well, all it's done is get people killed. And it's my fault. In many cases, it's my fault. Because I couldn't help them. So,
But, question. You couldn't help someone. But what if you didn't try at all? What then happened? You focus on what you couldn't do, but what can you? What have you done?
that's a very good question. I don't know.
Perhaps you should. Perhaps you should ask your friend. Right, little one. She might be able to answer this question for you.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think any of us know. Did you care about her?
A bit. Unfortunately, I did not get to know you both as well as I would. Same with Little One and Stillwaters. I barely. Yeah, this week or 3 months or so, it is but a moment in my, compared to what I have lived so far. It is hard to have things affect you as deeply when you know that eventually you may forget, or it may just pass off because it was just.
As long as as long as I knew Selene, I did feel like I just barely scratched the surface. But I loved her. I love her. I suppose I always will at some, for whatever that's worth. But sometimes I feel like I want to forget. Should I forget? Just bury it.
No, your life is too short to. You shouldn't want to forget people you meet. People fall in love.
No, I think I need to forget for a while. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I suppose I have a babysitter who's gonna keep me from forgetting.
I'll
Kaz, you
be here as long
babysitting?
as you need me.
Oh.
I'm standing at the moment. Not.
Sounds like you could tell Kaz to take a walk if you want.
No, I'm gonna go take a walk.
Oh, Mordecai's taking a walk. Is Casimir invited or staying
No,
behind?
I'm staying here. I'm not leaving this place. I'm just gonna go to another room.
Okay. Mordecai gets up. Casimir leaves the pew from beside you. Anything to say or do before he slips into a private alcove?
I'm keeping my eye on him. If he goes into a room, I will stand in front.
Okay. Then we will. What we'll do is you are standing out in front. Although I'll tell you, Mordecai's going to win the battle because eventually Casimir's going to have to eat or use the restroom here, where he can just lurk. And what we'll do is the camera pulls out of the ossuary, flies down several streets that are now getting busy with people who are going to the marketplace and those who are out for an early lunch or a late breakfast. I think the gnomes call that brunch. That's kind of a weird mush-up word. And we will have our mind's eye camera seeing Bright as she is toddling down the street and goes to a nearby cafe. And the smell of sweets and other goodies led her nose here. And sitting out on the sidewalk, on the as it does have outside service, though it's under a canopy, it's busy on the inside. This is the only place that they could get a table. You actually see Stillwater's sitting at a table with a man of some kind. Dressed okay, but you don't recognize him. And then again, you're also not Stillwater's mother. I don't know what you think. But we'll have this moment. Stillwater's, you see Bright coming up. You're sitting at the table. Professor...
Bright looks pretty different, so...
Oh, shoot, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. You disguise... Never mind. We know that's the case. But what we'll do is we'll leave here with the professor. You will not see Bright coming up, but Bright will see this scene, and we can pick up then next week with the interaction at the cafe, and then I have some things on the side to work with you, Lethality, and I also Mordecai. Actually, I have two. I have to work with you on a couple things regarding Selene and a couple things regarding our good professor. And then for Mordecai, there's a couple things that I need to shoot you messages on as well. So I would like to thank you all for a very intense session. This is to bring a start of closure to the loss of Selene, as she is being processed in some way at the ossuary. And we will pick it up. We'll pick it up next week and see where it takes us from here. For everyone out in the audience, thank you very much for being here. Potato Pony, thank you very much for the follow, and I sincerely appreciate it. When we pick up the channel tomorrow, the workshop begins when we're doing some D&D Painting 101, which is actually going to start off with... Sorry to rub it in, but we have Selene. I'm painting Selene to a spec that was sent to me by Lethality, or at least to like a table ready. Lethality, I'm not promising you that this is going to win a golden demon for purposes of painting, but it should accomplish what you're hoping for her to accomplish at your tabletop.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, we'll go forward from there. And then Lethality, you have the Gathering of Nerds, correct?
Yes.
That is a one-shot, a weekly one-shot you all run. What is your theme and your level for it?
It's the same theme and prompt, the same level and prompt as last week. Level 8 and the prompt of invisible. We didn't get to do it last week due to inclement weather.
Gotcha.
It was pouring rain. Pouring
Big oof.
rain.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a big.
rain. Rain is what stops you. Talk to me when it's 3 feet of snow in one piece.
But it's also Australian summer right now, so...
Yeah, it was Australian rain. Like,
So the
you
rain's
stand
trying
out
to
in the
kill
rain.
you. What else is new? Everything else is...
Oh, isn't Australian rain mostly
They try to
toad?
kill you via.
Well then, we'll look for your signal flare to go up. It's is it an hour from now, or have they been setting up and you're actually going to be starting soon?
We should be starting soon. It'll be a relatively immediate setup. So
Sure. Then we'll look for it. I got to get up and take a break. If you go up, then hey, we'll come over and raid you all. If it was an hour, I don't know if I could make it another hour. Since I'm
wouldn't be an hour.
okay.
No.
Yep. Then we'll sit. We can have some table talk, or I don't know. We can have some fun here while we're waiting, and then we'll come over and give you all a good raid for your one shot. So everyone out there,
sounds good to me.
be well, and we'll take a break, come back, hang out, and go raid the Gathering of Nerds.